As we go into this sales class, this is something I've been asked to do since I was selling software. Everybody used to say, why don't you do a sales class? I said, you know what? We need to do a sales class. This is a debate today. This is dialogue. This is not just one way. With all this talent in the room, I want to hear from you all. Who I really go to for sales advice is T. Colley, is because he did big enterprise sales, setting up T-Mobile with major partnerships. When you're setting up big major partnerships and having to get the other big companies to come in, he's talking to us about that today. He's got some slides how you do that. We saw something big in the data of who's getting the sale. And we're going to talk about that big change in the market. What the company needs is predictable, scalable revenue growth. It takes you getting money to get in predictable revenue scaling. Let's look at this first video here. We're also going to do what we don't do and what we do. This is selling.
Do we want to pretend and hide in a corner that we know what we're doing? We're going to pretend, oh, don't call on me. I'm going to tell my boss. No, dude, get your ass out here. What are your objections? I need to think about it. Got to talk to my wife. Payment's too high. Price is too high. Want more for my trade. Got more cars I'm going to go look at. Don't we hear the same shit every day? Somebody tell me if we could overcome these 7 objections, we would close every that walk through this door. But we run around here all day, broke asses, complaining, looking like shit, not leading ourselves. You can't lead anyone else when you don't lead.
Today, there's one thing to know about sales. Sell people what they're already sold on. You look at his following, he's successful because he's selling to the people that's already sold on Macho Man. That's not what we're here today. This is not persuasive speaking. This is figuring out who are we selling to. This guy's got the Boilermakers down, right? Who are you selling to and what are you selling? That's way more important than predictable, scalable revenue growth. Go to the next one. All right, now this right here, this guy right here.
Good as a fast car, a flash house and a gold-plated dunny to me. Absolutely no good at all. I've been put on this planet to protect wildlife and wilderness areas, which in essence is going to help humanity. I want to have the purest oceans. I want to be able to drink water straight out of that creek. I want to stop the ozone layer. I want to save the world. And you know, money's great. I can't get enough money. And you know what I'm going to do with it? I'm going to buy wilderness areas with it. Every single cent I get goes straight into conservation. And guess what, Charles? I don't give a rip whose money it is, mate. I'll use it and I'll spend it on buying land.
That's a friggin' salesperson. He's selling what? He's selling wildlife. He's selling a venture. Would you buy for him? Yeah, you would buy for him. So, you know, you've got to be out there in front of your customer and figure out who am I selling to and look like what you're selling all day long and keep reaffirming that. I want to come in the room where I'm already on top of the hill and I got credibility with the person. I know what they're buying and I look like what they're buying. That's why I don't spend any time with anybody that's not in my customer category. So this is all messing up on hiring. Where our salespeople spend time. That is something that's a really F up if they're spending it in the wrong place. You're the new hire. Chrissy is really good at sales. She's really good. So I want you to do the ride along. The ride along. I don't have time to train you, but Chrissy's the best. That is a total F up. Even on the same team, people have different sales strengths. So if you're really good at activity, you have been great at the demo. You're going to go out and all you're going to hear about is activity and you're not going to do anything about demo. It's a really big point about sales management. As a sales manager, how do I deal with her? She's good on deal, but she's got real weak and her activity is weak. But once she shows up, she gets business. Now, how do I manage that? What I'm going to go to you is say, you know what? You're really good at this. Let me tell you, can help you some on your demos. Salespeople run on confidence. This was the big market data that what we saw in March. Gen Z's doing a better job exponentially responding to leads. They're coming up with ways to respond to 2,000 people a day, 200 people a day. And they're touching those people. And one other thing, they're getting into their customers' world. Video, sales, letter. We talked about credibility. Divide out the leads. Here's a leads. But I get 453 more the next day. What are we doing about this? I've got to have a video that I can send to all these people. This is not a VSP, video sales pitch. Bad mistake. Now, you got to know who your customer is and what they're already sold on. The Gen Z people, and now baby boomers are doing it too, and X's, live in the prospects world. If you're selling diabetes management, well, what would you want your salespeople to do? We want your salespeople to wear the monitor and go out and be with diabetes people. They're wearing the monitor. That is living in the prospects world. All right, the next thing is set them up to be thought leaders. And being out there, and this is a salesperson with a bag, they're going out, they can, yes, be a thought leader and have a blog. It used to be a thought leader, you had to be in the New York Times and have your own New York Times. So that is the thought leadership. Now, when I was selling that video sales letter, we put in right here the Gardner Group Magic Quadrant. STI knowledge was right in the center. There was no question about credibility and all like that. You have to get credibility quickly, and sometimes you got to kind of subtle, in a subtle, elegant way, push it down their throats. We got to go. This is called GFM, get the friggin' money. So at Emory, I had everybody go in, everybody that came to school, I had all these CEOs come in. They came through the W. Cliff Oxford School. And, you know, is that a little pretentious? Is that, no, when that CEO came in, I didn't want them questioning, why is he leading this group? But we have to make ourselves, why are you buying from me? You got to think about, how do you get that instant credibility? The next thing, if you're selling to the C-suite, you got to make them look good and you got to give them no additional work. This has got to be understood. Sales is a system. It's not a personality cult. And marketing is a system. Creating a customer relationship is the most important thing we do. The people need to see that we believe that, and the only way they believe it is they see me doing it. Do they see me out there creating customer relationships with them? Our 7S model, this is systems, and every time we do this, people always in our 7S think systems is computers and technology and everything. That's where we discuss sales and marketing, and that's the only thing we discuss with systems is sales and marketing. This is the math of sales. This is where I live. We got to create that customer who we're selling to. We got to figure out who is really going to buy from you for what you're selling. Okay. The first thing on who you're selling to, the first question across the board, do they have money or not? Do they have budget? Is there budget there? Is there money there?
If they don't bring it up, you bring it up. Yep. And say, most of our clients are restricted, are working within a particular budget. What is yours?
The first question I would talk to the person and say, where are you going to get the money for this?
Where that?
And be quiet. Don't say another word. Oh, we already got it budgeted. I'm on a plane to see you. Who are you selling to? Do they have money? Am I selling on here? In our market, are we selling to the innovators, the early adopters, early majority, late majority, or laggers? I want to know where they fall on this spectrum. Because if I got the sweet spot, it's early majority and the laggers calling me, I'm not even calling them back. You can sit in a sales meeting, okay, but they got money and they're in the early majority. I'm getting excited here. Then we look at this. Are we selling to the Motel 6, the Marriott, or to the Ritz-Carlton? We selling to the Holiday Inn. So now we're just going to jam the Holiday Inn. All right, we're going to sell that friggin' Holiday Inn all day long. My most miners, they're making millions right now because we figured out in the 7S, they're the days in of Bitcoin. I can sell the days in. All they do is sell the days in all day long. Now, do you see how systematic this is? So this is what you got to figure out who you're selling to. After you determine they got money, they're an early majority. So why is this so important to know? Because you're going to develop your messaging based on who you're selling to. Sales is a discipline, but it's a system and a discipline. I'm talking about building the sales team into a management system too, not just an individual. Now I go into sales, and you got one selling to early innovators, one selling to laggards, one selling to the Holiday Inn, one selling to Motel 6. It's called a frustrated sales team. What are you selling? Is it a product? Is it features? This is a very good member of ours. John Winsett at MPI. He's got 14 or 15 salespeople. He said, we need more traction. And I said, show me what you're selling. And this is what they showed me. John, what are you selling? They keep showing me this stuff. They look at our smart calendar. Look at our spend visibility. We have a dashboard that everybody sees. I still don't know what you're selling. Well, what they were selling, like Virginia, is Moxie. This is one of the top selling products of all time. And they didn't have about how they made the tobacco and all that on there. You got to figure out what are we selling here? If you don't know that, you're into the deep of the woods of the smart graph that we give you every day. And we're talking about all that stuff. But if I go out to the C-suite and I'm selling Moxie, they're buying that all day long because I've got the goods to back it up, right? Now, ROI. What is the ROI? It's just part of the sale. You show them the ROI, but I'm not going to die on that hill. I'm not going to die on the ROI hill, but you spend it, you get this money back. This is your return. I worked on this for 7 years. Always trying to get the right sales comp plan. All commission didn't work. All salary didn't work. And we finally figured out, we called it the Cliff comp plan. Exactly the way you measure against sales production and sales revenue and all that good stuff. But you got to have fun in sales. There's tension in sales. Do they have money and to have that? But I think you got to keep the spirits high among salespeople. Who do you spend your time with? Now, salespeople have got to understand time is the most important thing, right? Do they have money? Who are you selling to? What are you selling? And now let's go put that time toward that category. But even within that category, you got different prospects. They all don't buy the same way and they're not all the same. So we have figured out who we don't even spend time with if they line up completely. And the first one is the bottom feeder. We call this the mudfish. I am getting away from the mudfish because looking for the lowest price will only accept the lowest price and beat you down for it. This is called the warmouth perch. And when I go out there, they're not going to ever be the biggest fish and they're not going to be the biggest deals, but they buy quickly. If they buy quickly and I know that, I'm not going to spend the same amount of time with them that I have to on a larger fish that bites quick. All right, the next one, the kissing fish. This is the fish you want to stay away from. Always around the line that never bites. This is the trophy. This is the largemouth bass. They may watch the lure 30 times before they strike. They just sit there and they look at it and they're looking at you. And it's a consultative sale. To wiggle the rod, I got to do all this stuff. And they're the right buyer. They got money. They're buying what I'm selling. And, that's called the sales cycle. It takes some time, and we're going to invest in that.
Sales is sales, right? But when you get to enterprise sales, it goes up a notch. And the execution of it is extremely complex, which we've been talking about. Enterprise sales is often called or referred to as complex sales, or strategic selling. So what makes it different? First and foremost, there are a lot more people in the room. So that's only half the battle. The other battle is reading that room just got extremely difficult. And then who's not in the room, that's going to affect that sell, right? And everybody in that room is probably fighting for the same budget dollars and has a different agenda, right? So the sales cycle can be anywhere depending on your product, service, industry, 6 months to 4 years. And you're expending, Cliff just talked about money, you're expending a ton of resources in people, human capital, finance, time, and energy without much coming in the door for a while. And so when that happens, everybody in your company wants to know what's going on, what activities are occurring, where are you in the process. So quarterly business reviews become part of the game because everybody wants to know the minutia of what's going on in that deal until money starts coming in. So larger budget deals, you start adding zeros, there's more to gain and more to lose. I'm talking about the prospective client. In this game, it definitely is a team selling environment. It's not an individual sell like normally. Here's the playing field in terms of the requirements of the skill sets to be able to play. And so when you take a look at mapping out the customer's organization, so if you don't have a marketing department that's got you in place somewhere and you're starting cold, then you have to figure out how to get in, how to break into that company. And a hierarchical structure, let's take maybe Georgia Pacific. I haven't sold into Georgia Pacific. Let's take those guys, the big tower downtown. You want to know who the chairman is, who the CEO is, and all that good stuff. But before you even get to that stage, you're going to begin to break down Georgia Pacific lines of businesses, where they're located, how many divisions there are, because you're looking for an entry point to get in. And so you're going through to find out who's getting the money, who's getting the attention, where the budget's going, where your company and your product and service can play. So a lot of research before you even get into the game. Talk about the team. What is the team made up of? Anybody in your organization that is going to have a department that's going to play in that win, and then the delivery thereafter, and then going wide with the products and upsells after that is going to be a member of that team. And that sales professional is usually the leader of that organization. So when you bring these people in, the onboarding process is key. So if we began to take a look at that onboarding process, are you saying, hey, here's our product, here's how we sell it, here's what we're actually selling? But do you also have, here are our competitors? Here are the objections that competitors are going to run across. Here's what they're going to say about us. Here's how they sell their product. Here's how we sell against them. So are you setting your salespeople up for success before they even get into your company? Cliff talked about a systematic approach. Salespeople are individual with individual talents, but following a process is extremely important. So this is the team. Let's take a look at the sales professional. So when I say sales professional, what images pop up in your mind? And what type of qualities do you think that salespeople have? When you get into the enterprise game, would you put empathy next to a salesperson? How many salespeople that you know are very empathetic? How about curious? And how about data-driven decisions instead of gut-driven decisions, right? So when the enterprise game comes around, sales skills also bleed over into other type of skill sets you need to bring to the game just to be able to play. And whoever does these the best are indeed going to be the ones who are winning the matches. The other sales process that you're following and who you're following it with in the enterprise game, it's your own company, right? Because the resources that you were trying to pull from your company to win this deal, guess what? Everybody else in your company is trying to pull from those resources as well. The other salespeople, the department heads, the leaders of your company. So you're fighting for resources, and the heads of those departments, or the leaders in those departments, they don't have the best impression of salespeople. They make way too much money. They don't work hard. They're always asking for stuff. They're never giving up anything. So they're fighting a losing battle before they even ask for anything. So diplomacy, empathy comes into play heavily, but that quarterback in that team is running two separate sales processes at the same time to try to win that deal. Does that make sense? Inviting department heads to your quarterly business reviews is huge. So when you're going in and asking for their assistance, the more they know about your challenges and what you're trying to accomplish, the better. So you're bringing them, and you also have an internal deck or two that you're displaying, providing documentation, so you are helping these people understand your situation, understand what you were trying to accomplish, and bringing them into your deal, because the more they understand why you need the help and why you need the assistance and when you need the assistance, the more apt you are to get it when you need it. I'm still learning how to sell. Every single day. I'm taking notes today from what Cliff's saying, what Jane's saying, and what you guys are saying. So it's a never-ending process of creating your skill set. So just a couple of quick tricks. Who's who? Everybody has a role in the decision-making process in a company. So they're either going to be a user, they're going to be a coach or champion for you, they're going to be the IT department, they're going to be legal, they're going to be procurement. You need to label who these people are and their role in the buying process. And then in your CRM, regardless of whatever CRM you're using, you need to make sure that you've got a custom field that you can go down and label those individuals. So when your team is in there, they know who that individual is, right? Understand what's at stake for each player in that room, because you will have competing agendas in that room. Also, understand the company's buying process. Most people have never purchased a size of the product that you're probably going to be selling. So they don't know how to make that sell happen. Jane mentioned this earlier. You need to be consultative and help them figure out how to achieve and gain what you're trying to sell, because they don't know those steps. So you're educating your buyer along the way as well. Next up, we talked about following processes and things of that nature. You have to be steadfast, rigorous in every single process execution that you have. And so thinking about going into a sales call or a sales meeting, if you've got a good sales professional, enterprise level sales professional, this is what they are doing before every single sales call, every single sales meeting. And it's not off the cuff. It is following a document to the letter or to the T. And so first off, all your team members are going to have a role in that meeting, and they're going to have assignments. Who's going to handle what? We're going to have a pre-call strategy session before each one, because you don't want any surprises going on in that meeting whatsoever. And Cliff said this earlier, you need to know what's going to go on before you even walk into the room, right? So the meeting purpose and how that meeting purpose is going to play into the entire overall process, who the attendees are, what their interests are, what their buying role is, what their agenda is, what objections could come up. You're going to have an agenda for the meeting, and then you're also going to have a desired outcome for that meeting. And so these things may sound, they're just basic, right? There's no like magic pill on the sheet, but if you don't follow this process every single time, that's when mistakes happen. That's when you get blindsided by stuff. That's when you have somebody on your team say something. You know, Cliff said, here's a new salesperson, you keep your mouth shut, right? So we've had somebody added to our team who is experienced, and they were added to our team by the CEO, and they had been an account manager somewhere else with similar size companies. They said something in a meeting, didn't ask permission, didn't look to me or anybody else on the team to get the head nod first, derailed us for 8 months. Last meeting they went to, CEO and I didn't have, a good conversation, but there was no way we were going to win the deal with that person on the team anymore. So what objections are going to arise, how to handle those objections. Here's something that you may take for granted, may not. Whoever is speaking in your meeting, the other people in your team have a more important responsibility. And that responsibility is to see however those words are landing, right? Who's paying attention, who's not paying attention, who's shaking their head, who's giving the eye roll, what's going on with those individuals. Because the person speaking isn't paying attention as they should. They're concerned about what they're saying. And so after that meeting, you need to come out, you're going to have a post-call debrief. You're going to find out, this is what I heard, what did you hear? What are those impressions? What new information arose in that meeting that we weren't aware of? What are we going to do about it? What are our next steps? So when you think about it, this makes perfect sense for a large call, but this is also happening on small calls, on Zoom calls, on a conference call, right? That's the first stage of learning, I think, as we all know, just being aware of what you don't know. And so there's a lot of opportunity that you can utilize when you get into research and analysis and preparation. And relationships, regardless of what the size of the cell is, relationships, trust, and human interaction still wins deals. Technology can get you there to the point to where you can build relationships and get you in front of those people, but the relationships and the trust and the human interaction are what's going to close the deal. Anybody here, if you've ever hosted people at a suite for the weekend, at a conference, things of that nature, it's a great opportunity to make sure that you are making an impression that will be lasting for those individuals, especially if they're bringing their spouse. And that is cut sheets. So these are sheets that we develop to where you go in, you hand these sheets out to every single one of your employees. It's going to be in that suite weeks before people are studying. So when these clients come in, you already know who they are. You know topics of conversation. You're greeting them by name when the introduction happens. And it kind of blows them away. And what ends up happening is that their attention to detail is so much here at this event. Just imagine their attention to detail with their product and their company.
Got to hire the right people. Now, what are the formula? Coachability is number one. Who said that earlier? I think that was you, Stephen. Curiosity, intelligence, work ethic, prior success. That's kind of how we rank them in hiring salespeople. And a lot of the blowhard salespeople meet none of these. They come in, blah, 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 blah. I've sold for 35 years. Well, none of these, so I'm not hiring. Okay. This is what we found. And I like this because it's not what you expect. Salespeople got to be likable. They got to be blah, blah, blah. But what I like about this is the closing ability is way down. Because if you're doing everything right, you don't have to go in with this hard close. So closing skills is not as important as the industry thinks they are. In fact, they could be actually hurt you. I don't want that macho guy earlier, right? Unless you're selling macho, that might be fun. But preparation, that's all you talked about, Doctor. Right. Really. Yeah. Your whole thing is sales is friggin' preparation and also knowing that decision maker, where they go to church, where they like to eat. Salespeople are not, this is not natural for them. You got to force it on them. You got to make them go do it. And you know what? I wish I could say some magical words and they just go, no, you got to drive them to go prepare. I want you prepared for this meeting. And one thing I could really do well in sales management, one thing I could never train, I could never take a person and say, okay, come on with me. Train, but what I could do is question them in meetings about were they prepared for this client. Adaptability, calm down. What I love is closing ability is last. On the same sales team, different strengths, play to the strengths, but they use the same sales process. You can look like the part, you can sell. Let's not, make it simplify. Sales environment, there's constant tension. What is working, what is not working. That's a healthy sign. It's not white. It's not all, clean and pretty. So we're constantly looking, is this working? Is that not working? What should we be doing? And it's every single day you're looking at that. And so, if I looked at on the VSL, Jonathan, you're getting 600 reactions on social media or whatever. You got it. Sales is a system too. I'm going to shoot them that 600, that VSL. I'm going to throw that net out. I'm gonna see what comes back. If 150 come back, then I'm gonna go, who am I selling? What am I selling? I'm gonna go through the same process to make sure it's not a mudfish. It's the right fish. So, and I think this is where Gen Z is doing very well right now. They're playing numbers too. They're like, okay, out of the 600, I'll hit them all with the VSL and we'll take it from there. And getting them into the funnel that way. So that's just something we don't want to leave here today without remembering the VSL. All right, let's wrap up here. Sales comp. We haven't had controversy yet. We're about to get it. You know, I gotta have controversy in sales. Right? I gotta have tension in sales. I gotta be, we're in the tournament. And we're in the tournament, and if you make it, you keep advancing, you get paid. Which one is best? All commission, all salary, base and comp, or base and comp? Which one of those three is the best sales comp plan? All three are total losers. Because look, I go back to, I gotta hire people that are credible. I gotta hire people that look like what they're selling. And how do I do that, T? And I get them into the build, I get them into there, and then I'm behind the 8 ball because I'm paying them a salary, and you're wrapping up sales cycles and all of that, right? Everybody's familiar with that. Then all commission, get all the bottom fee. People that couldn't make it in sales go, well, we'll take all commission. So I get those, except for real estate. All salary, you know, I still work as hard as I do on all salary than on commission. Bull crap, you don't. You know, real estate agents, you want to see motivated people? They are motivated. I like that part of real estate.
I love it.
They're motivated. So all salary doesn't work. Base and commission, the hidden danger of that one, by the way, because everybody thinks that's the most logical one, is if you're paying them a base, then you pay them a commission on top of the base, you're killing your gross margin. You're killing your gross margins. That's what you figure out with base and commission. So what we have to do here today is say, okay, everybody write this down. I got to get good salespeople. I can't have these mediocre salespeople. I need good salespeople. They can come in motivated and do all this stuff we talked about today. And guess what? They're already making money somewhere. They're good. So they're out there making money. So you come in, they come in, I talk you into, you know, I want to join the Cliffco team. I want to join the STI team. And okay, and then they go home and guess who do they talk to about? Every time I'm like, I had heard you talk to that husband. And then they didn't come on board. That's a loss. Millions of dollars lost. So I go, we got to do this. We got to find these people and they can tell their spouse, we're taking this job with this really crazy guy down at this technology company. And oh, by the way, I'm taking a cut and pay. No, that's not going to sell. So what we did, we said, we got to come up with a plan and we say, start, you're going to come in and we're going to pay you $10,000 a month. And no matter what, next month, if you're still here, you're going to make a minimum of $10,000. But what I do, when you sell something, you make a $2,500 commission. So the first 4 sales you make go against the $10,000. That they go against the 10. You make your first commission check on the 5th sale. That's for the month. Now, what did we do on the 2nd month? Okay, it's the 2nd month. Okay, you made 5 sales, you get 10,000 plus 2,500. Or let's say you made 3 sales and you didn't get to the 10,000. The big mistake is next month you carry your draw over and I'm gonna claw back you. Oh boy, that's gonna be really great. Claw back salespeople. After they earn it, claw it back. These are the dumbasses and salesmen that do that. It's like, you know, last month you didn't make it all, so I'm gonna take more. What we said, you know what? This came up through a lot of heartache. At the beginning of the month, it's all over. You start all over again. And that 5 months, 6 sales, 7 sales. 1 month, you're out for 2 weeks, you only make 1 sale, you still get $10,000. Because that spouse wants that insurance there. Now, here's the beautiful part of this plan. The first month, you only make 2 sales. So I give you 5,000. I've only got 5,000 investors. I don't have 10,000 investors. She's made 5,000. So it's not a $10,000 loss. It's a 5,000. And so by the 6th month, we always said by the 6th month, you got to be earning your keep around. And after that, you know, it's in the plus. I want you making 300,000. I want you to make $30,000 a month. And you can get there. If you're really good like Star is, you can get there at $30,000 a month. But you can't get there if I can never get you. And I can't ever get you on board. You can never get to $30,000 a month. And you know what? I don't want you out there worrying about, oh my God, do I have to give back money next month? I always said I want them to know how much money they're making at the sale in their head. It's got to be simple enough. And what I always paid was 20% of gross margin. Not a net revenue. Gross margin, I gave you 20% of gross margin. Because that kept the gross margins up. And I want them to figure out in their head, I'm making $7,000, right? And when they're leaving, I'm at 21,000, so I'm gonna get $11,000 check. And it has to be that simple and that brilliant to keep the sales team going and get the people on board that you need to do these jobs. This is kind of a recurring, this is best for a recurring plan. You'd have to tweak it for a one and done. This has to be tweaked a little bit.
You get them.
Yeah.
Pay them.
Yeah.
If they're making more than you, that means the company's doing well. And I see CEOs like start to mess around with the comp because they're like, he's making more money than me.
They love walking out the door knowing how much money they just made. That's just one of the things they like, right? So we had to create that for them.
So I agree with everything you're saying. What happens when the salesperson starts to build an ego too fast and they know that they're a top producer and they become a very big personality problem with the organization and with the leadership and that they're above it, then you cut them.
I heard ego. I heard they had an ego.
All right, let's take both situations. Just hot, big ego that they don't want to follow. We talk about inputting in the CRM. They don't need to input in the CRM. They do their own
Now,
thing.
toxic is obviously fire them, but ego, I love.
They don't need to
working.
follow
Look,
the.
I would love work.
Yeah.
I did. I mean, I was good at it. I was good at managing them. And I love you as long as you're making sales. And you know what? Some of this ego stuff, that's our job. That's our job to find what really makes them tick. I'm like, what can we do to help you today?
Yeah.
So I think you can manage egos. And I think ego people are high performers.
Mhm.
It's going to come with the territory. Now, we all like humble and all like that, but these are salespeople. They like money. They want to go on, they love good vacations. Like, I don't know why we end this session today. That's where I want to end our minds, where we got those kind of numbers coming in. And that was out of how many prospects? 22,000?
Yeah, we had about 2,000.
About 2,000 leads came in. And that came down to 300 people buying. And that is incredible. And those 2,000 leads came from a advertisement DSL. But you know who your customer is, you know what you're selling, and it's working. So they're getting that because they are doing it right.